Hey, it's Sol with another video, brought to you in part by the Rethqual Home Assistant. Hey Rethqual, what time is it?
It's time for you to get a goddamn job.
I'm going to share an opinion, based on facts and feelings and the experience that I've had in the battle for Azeroth thus far. This is going to sound ridiculous coming from someone who's played since, like, forever, but here we go. I feel compelled to play both the Horde and Alliance to max level in the battle for Azeroth, just to get a damn clue as to what's going to happen in this expansion.
But wait, that's not a new thought, Sol. There was always a split in the content between factions.
And you are right, modulated voice of mine, you are right. But this feels different. So sit back for a few minutes and look at some game footage while I explain what I mean. Once upon a time, way back in classic WoW, a big majority of the questing in the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor were entirely separate. Entire zones were segregated by faction. The Horde had no reason to travel to Westfall or the wetlands except for, I think it was a Warlock quest, I don't remember. On the other side, the Alliance had pretty much no presence in Silverpine Forest or the Barrens. Past that, there were only a handful of quests that you could say are shared between both factions. Because the world back then felt so grand at the time, some players felt compelled to play as both factions to experience all that WoW had to offer. Makes sense. But times changed over the many expansions thanks to common threats, and to be fair, it's kind of a waste of space to have a rich zone that was reserved for only one faction. As soon as the Burning Crusade expansion did both factions start sharing the same starting points, with a mix of shared and separate quest lines and hubs, but the general idea of story was the same, to secure the Dark Portal and push west. As another example, in Cataclysm, in the Twilight Highlands, the factions were at each other's throats as much as they were with the Twilight cultists. In Deepholm, everyone eventually visited Therazane to kiss the ring, so to speak. This back and forth design of shared and separate storytelling became a theme for many years. Funny enough, it wasn't until Warlords of Draenor that the factions had a zone to call their own once again, with Frostfire Ridge for the Horde and Shadowmoon Valley for the Alliance. I've noticed conversations here and there about that little predicament.
Oh no, this sucks. There are even fewer zones for players who can only play one faction.
In fact, in Warlords, while the factions crossed paths a lot through the other shared zones, the stories themselves were usually separated into one that was primarily Orcish, and the other being Draenei-ish, with a few exceptions. So there was a lot of story for single faction players to miss out on. And then Legion happened. Legion took this faction separation and, kind of smushed it all together and then turned it upside its head and deep-fried it, I don't know. Only in Stormheim do you see a separate Horde and Alliance story in the spattering of the Greymane and the Windrunner related stuff. Otherwise, the Horde Paladin and the Alliance Paladin do the same things the same way. That was the snag for Legion though. If you wanted the full story experience in Legion, it wasn't about playing both factions, but about playing through all 12 classes. That's what it took to go through all 36 artifact quest lines, 12 Order Hall campaigns, the follow-ups, the special class mount unlocks, and a partridge and well, you know what I mean. Players who only care about one or two classes, kinda like me, miss out on a ton of the story that later serves as the context for what we see later in this expansion. Like, if you didn't play through the Paladin Order Hall questline, you might be wondering what the hell is a Dreadlord doing here and how he got turned out. I might feel cool and badass being a Paladin player, but I didn't get to play through the part where the Knights of the Ebon Blade whooped the crap out of my Order Hall. That would have been neat, and maybe a humbling experience to have if I could have played through it. So there were complaints about this and many things. Blizzard knew that it was unleashing more story than ever before, but somewhere down the line they lost sight of what it takes to look at all of this story. They've gone so far to acknowledge this and further reflect that in the Argus storyline later on, which is once again a single unified experience, which thanks to the previous story design, some players now feel they need to complete with all 12 of the characters not to experience the story, but because, well damn, now they have 12 characters and a lot of potential Order Hall money to gain out of it. So, in the next couple of months, we'll begin the battle for Azeroth. Red versus blue, us versus them, the good guys and the other guys, etc. The idea of separate storylines once again takes hold, but this time it's gone to the hilt. With two separate continents with what seems to be so far an entirely separate leveling experience per faction. So this Biffa is not playing around. You can say that the pendulum has swung too far in another direction once again, and it's not even too early to judge. I'm a little concerned that the endgame experience we'll have on the opposite faction's continent won't be nearly as fruitful or enriching as our own. But more than that, I have a feeling that there's just going to be a lot of developments that I won't understand because more than ever, there are going to be story gaps. Which brings us full circle. I really feel that in order to understand the battle for Azeroth, I'll need to get into the shoes of both factions to understand the state of the world that I've spent over a decade playing in. This will be the first time I've considered this since classic WoW, oh my god, with all those zones that were considered content for one faction and kind of empty ambiance for the other. I feel like I'll be missing out on a lot if I don't do this. It's cool, and it's frustrating. I can say a lot of things about this, like this is a nod to the neglect that our factions have gotten with regards to meaty political developments, or that this is dumb, that I have to play that hated faction, the other team, boo them, just to understand the story. Or I don't like this because I would rather have 6 big zone quest lines instead of 3 because 6 is bigger than 3. I could even say that this is a conspiracy to promote more boost to play both factions and increase playtime, MAUs, and Actabliz, you money grubbers, you. But those are just more opinions, like mine. So what's yours? Share your thoughts in a comment below. Are you going to play both factions? Do you think this is a good delivery of story experience and immersion? Do you care? Thanks for watching. Please like this video to support the channel and subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.